You're now listening to Hispanics Causing Panic, baby. Let's do this.
Right now, Hispanics are causing black. But right now, Hispanics are causing black. Yeah, Hispanics are causing panic.
And thanks to those showing us live and those that be joining us on the archive, D-Style here, being joined by the one and the only Cali X Boxing. This is another episode of Hispanics Causing Panic. This is the 200th episode. 200. You know what I mean? At least official ones, canon ones. How's it going, Calix?
Good. I'm ready to get this cooking. That was a great night of boxing last night.
Great night of boxing, that's for sure, depending on who you ask, right? But definitely a great night of boxing overall. Calix betrayed the sport. He was a traitor. He was over there watching the UFC. Is that what you work out? Weren't you partying with a UFC crowd, with a cool crowd? All right, like I mean, that's just that's the sense I get.
I actually sold my Poirier tickets last minute. They were going for so high. Sold them because I wasn't that interested in the fight anyway. But heard it was popping in there, and Poirier lost, which I expected.
Damn, so you made profit, huh?
Yeah.
They use that money to buy the pay-per-views on the boxing side, or what?
Yeah. I think I'll do that.
All right. So he didn't go to the UFC. So he didn't betray
No.
the boxing outcasts over here. You know what I mean? Like he stuck it out. You know what I mean? So shout out to JC in the chat. It says, "Sir," right? It says Tszyu and Dubois quit. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, but let's start off with this. First of all, what's with you and Liza? Like this hating on anybody who's 5'2" or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like if she's tall, like she's over here acting like she's like 5'5" at least, which she's not. Like what's going on? Like what's with this sizist? Like what's with this hating on small, short dudes? What's this about? What's this Isaac Cruz hate about? I don't get it.
Well, you hype him up so much is one of it, like part of the problem. The other part of the problem is he's another, and we'll talk about this later when it comes to Barrios. It's like these dudes get close losses or they win some rounds against Tank, right? And they just parlay that into this whole like spin-off career, right? Like they're the dudes that, you know, they're like on a sitcom and they're not the main character, and then they spin it off into like they're going to be the main character in this spin-off sitcom. And that's what these dudes in the Tank Davis theorem do. It's like Isaac Cruz, you know, everybody was talking about, oh my God, look how great he did against Tank. And then he parlays that into some easy fights because he's turning down bigger fights and he's walking around like a real life.
He wasn't just a guy. Let's make this very clear. He wasn't just a guy that did good against Tank or had a moral victory against Tank, or, oh, we're giving him a pat on the back because he went the distance against Tank. That's the guy who arguably beat Tank. Is who he is.
Yeah. But do something else. Do something else.
He didn't end the fight on his knees like Mario Barrios against Tank. Like he wasn't this against Tank. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Isak's
He
a
did
fun
it.
fighter.
Did you do what he did? Like the type of dude you're talking about? Did you see what he did to that dude? Did you see what he did to Rolly Romero?
What I'm telling you is, if he would have just become an action fighter and, taking tougher fights at the same time, instead of getting put in this PBC protection program like everybody else, and allowed himself to be in that and been more active, then it's fine. Then I'm a fan. But it's like they're parading him around like he's something he's not, and then people like you are buying into it. So then I just have to balance out that energy. That's all I'm saying.
Like all I'll tell you is this: I think he's good for the sport. I'll agree. Look, if you want to argue that PBC has not marketed him properly and they haven't totally used him the way they're supposed to use him, I agree.
It's his
with you,
fault at the end of the day. That's his fault.
right?
That's his
Okay,
fault.
well, I mean, hey, he's just a fighter. He's just a 5 foot dude, 4'11" dude trying to make it in life. So he's just trying to feed his family. That's all he's trying to do. You know what I mean? And and once again, he gets a W, wins virtually every round, right? But you and Liza, oh, he ain't that good. We did like what's wrong with it? He sucks. She said. I mean, this stain.
I
They all
didn't
have.
say he sucked. I didn't say he sucked.
I mean, no, I said Liza said he
Oh
sucks in the
yeah,
post.
yeah. She did. She did.
So the disdain, like that's the best word I got that you guys got for this guy, just because he arguably beat Tank makes me think you're really closet Tank fans.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? Like I just don't think like what you're saying applies to Raleigh. It applies to Mario Barrios,
Hey,
right?
Raleigh's a champion. Leave leave Raleigh out of this.
Is he?
Raleigh's a
Is he?
champion. He's a
Is he champion?
champion. He beat Ryan.
It's a Reggie belt, right? Isn't that what it is?
Is it? I thought that was a real belt. I think him and Manny have real belts. Real welterweight belts. Yeah.
No
I think
wonder
Raleigh
Manny
is the real
Pacquiao
champion.
is like. No wonder Manny Pacquiao could come back and like school these cats at the age of
Why
almost
do you
50
think
and shit.
Pacquiao came back? And we'll discuss that later, I'm sure. But why do you
Well,
think he came back?
let's
Because the welterweight division is so trash.
well before we get to Manny Pacquiao, let's stay on this card. Gary Russell Jr. is back, by the way. I have not had a chance to watch the fight. But Jesus Christ, it's been like 3.5 years since he's got in the ring. So like I guess he did his thing. If Gary Russell Jr. is serious, I want to see him back in less than 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5
No.
years. What am I talking about? Months, not 3 years. Come back and show him, because you're not getting any. We can't afford another year and a half while he's going to just stay irrelevant. If you want to become relevant again, you got to stay active, right?
I said this a while back. Like, if there's a poster boy for PBC, is Gary Russell Jr. Just like talent that was completely squandered off of whatever that is that they tried to do with his career. I don't even know what that is. It's just like he fights every once in a while when he feels like it, and then takes another big break off, and then just comes back, and then you can't expect him to come back and parlay anything off of that victory. It's just squandered opportunity after squandered opportunity,
And a great
overprotecting.
talent, by the way, just a very talented guy.
Very
And
talented.
when
Very
guys
talented.
like you and I say, "Hey, he's a really talented guy," I want to see him more often. I want to see him in the mix, right? Like,
Yep.
what have we been told over the years? Oh, you're stupid. There's going to be something else going on. What do you really mean by that?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you really mean? Is it the complexion and the skin? Like what? I just want to see the guy fight, bro. Like, what's going on? But yeah, we got to get him more active for sure. I say just throw him in there with Pitbull Cruz. They could stay active together.
Yeah, they could. They could. I mean, that'd be a good fight.
That's a good scrap. And when Cruz knocks him out, the Calix and Liza will have other examples. Like they'll be like, "Oh, when's he gonna fight someone who's active?" And all this other stuff.
I'm always gonna move the goalpost on him.
Luis Puente Russell is that 65-year-old dude that retired but started doing Uber when he needed the money. Him fighting is Ubering. All righty. I guess Rawlings his best win. I mean, on paper, he won the title. Luis Ponte is asking who's his best win. So, hey.
He beat a champion, a current champion.
Tony Boswell, Sub HCP, and the chat stopped in to show support and hit the like button. Shout out to you, brother. Tim Tszyu, Fundora.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack here, but look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to put a bow on it. I'm not going to try to put lipstick on the pig. I'm not going to do anything like that. Pretty straightforward. Tim Tszyu got his ass whooped in that fight. Like,
Yeah.
He took a beating in that fight. And I will say this. I don't give a fuck what nobody saw that coming. Like, I think people thought Fundora could win. I think people thought that was possible. I didn't really see anybody say that. That was a pretty one-sided fight, and that's a classic example of it just nothing goes your way, and it didn't go his way, and Fundora didn't let it go his way, and that's it. And I'll tell you right now, a couple of years ago, I saw a Joe Rogan podcast with Eddie Bravo, who's like a good friend of his. He's usually on there, but they were talking about the grappling match that he had with Royler Gracie, one of the greatest grapplers of all time, right? And they had a grappling match, and Eddie Bravo broke down like the bullet points that he goes through in every single grappling match, right? And I think this should apply to all combative sports. And his very first bullet point was, when talking about this match, is that my first order of business was to not fuck it up early. Like, don't go in there and all your hard work and all your preparation goes out the window because you get caught with a submission, or I'm put in some position where I'm basically trying to dig myself out of a hole unnecessarily. If I lose, I'm going to make sure I lose where I did my best and put my best forth out there. I'm not going to lose the match early. And this is now the second time, and this is a very troubling fact, in the career of Tim Tszyu, where he basically went out there pretty carelessly and lost. The match was over early, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets knocked down, gets back up. Now Fundora is full of confidence. Now Fundora is really feeling himself. He feels he knows he could hurt him and drop him. I saw Fundora talk about this in the post fight. He's like, yeah, when I dropped him, I mean, my confidence just went through the roof. And the fight I believe Tim prepared for, which was going to be a low volume fight like the first fight, wasn't to be. The old Fundora came out, still utilizing the jabs, still being more responsible with his height, but then when he would pick up the pace and throw punches and bunches and overwhelm Tim with volume, the fact of the matter is Tim Tszyu had absolutely no answers for it. None. Right? And that is that. And I don't think Tim, for whatever reason, he just wasn't ready for that. This is a fight where it spiraled out of control from the very beginning, and he never took control back of the fight. He tried to rally back. It just wasn't enough. And for a fighter like Tim, who's now 30 years old, he's practically a veteran in the sport at this point. It is very troubling to see that yet again, he allows a fight to spiral out of control so easily and so fast, right? And it's not that he lost and how he lost. It is how he lost, but I mean, that's it. And I said this before the fight, if he can't beat Fundora at the elite level or anywhere near the elite level, it's over. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. Aside of being used as a name to be passed around by the top fighters in the division, it's over, right? It's time. It's time to go back to Australia. It's time to fight domestic level fighters. Do a big fight with Zarafa. You both will make stupid money over there. That's it. Like the days of, I'm past Zarafa. he's old news. I'm above that. No, you're not above that. You've been knocked down from where you were, Tim. You're now at Zarafa level, is where you are. And if Tim's not willing to fight the Zarafas of the world or domestic levels, then it's over. Like it's just, it's as simple as that. I don't want to sound cold-hearted, right? I don't want, but or blunt. But this is a sport where you need to be blunt. This is a sport where you need to just call it like it is. I need to call balls and strikes, and if I'm calling it, he's done. At the highest level, he's done. And I don't even want to say Calix. I don't even want to say, oh, he could work his way back up. That train passed, right? If you remember, we did a show and I said I would prefer for him to fight Keith Thurman, fight a couple more fights, and then pursue a rematch with Fundora or whoever. And he chose not to do that. That's his decision. But hey, he needs to pay the consequences for those decisions. And he wanted to fight. He got the fight. He wasn't successful, and it wasn't even close. And that's just the reality that even a fan like me of Tim needs to reckon with. Still a fan of his. I didn't stop being a fan. I'll still watch his fights if he's look. Boxing, there's so many levels to it. You could properly match him, like I said, against Zarafa, and I'll watch it. But top level, he's done.
Yep. The Fundora fight over the Keith Thurman fight. I'm asking that for a reason. Well, why do you think that is?
You're asking why he chose Fundora over Keith Thurman?
Yep. I mean, question for a reason, but
I believe it's because he wanted to get the title back. That's the short answer, but yeah.
They had this obsession with fighting in America and storming the shores of America, right? When sometimes smarter, wiser to take the bigger name that brings you more money without the belt, without America, in your own country. The Keith Thurman fight would have been a better fight for him stylistically. It would have brought him more money. In my opinion, it's a bigger fight, and they chose the Fundora fight. But the reason I bring that up is the one thing I brought this up to you in the past. I've thrown out that word stubborn, and I liked it. And I liked it because we get to the point quicker, right? Too many times in boxing, we talked about Gary Russell Jr. earlier, right? It's a guy who doesn't seem passionate, seems apathetic to the sport. Super talented, but seems apathetic. The PBC model ran American boxing into the ground because it's just apathetic. We never get to the point. The beautiful thing about Tim Tszyu that we talked about is his team is so stubborn in their ways that they're going to do it their own way, and we're going to get to the point quicker. And that's what you and I liked. And when these people would come on and tell us the manager is stupid, tell the manager, I'm not going to tell the manager anything because I like the aggressiveness of this plan. But when things are going well, but they didn't deviate, right? They just kept going with it. And it ended up with, you had bad losses in 2024, right? So we talked about maybe 2025 is the year that you build yourself back up in Australia. That was what we thought the plan was going to be coming into this year, right? Is you fight a Spencer, then, this Keith Thurman thing all of a sudden is presenting itself in Australia, and he wins the fight, and it's building in Australia. But then instead of doing that, they go right back to, we're going to fight under the PBC banner in America, do a press conference that nobody's watching, as a co-main on a PBC pay-per-view where they paper off the top sections. It's just, I don't think they quite learned that that's a prehistoric model. It's a prehistoric model. You can fight in bigger fights without the title. Vegas isn't where it's at anymore. People talk about that all the time now who've gone to fights in Vegas recently. Vegas is not what it used to be. The epicenter of boxing is not going to be in Vegas. People are moving on. People are moving on to Riyadh. Japan is booming. market there in Australia where you could have fought a big fight against an easier fighter, but they were stubborn in their ways, in my opinion, that America is where it has to be. To me, they were running the plan more like a Costa Tszyu plan, but that business model is no longer there in boxing. It's just not there. Vegas isn't where it's at anymore. The American market is dead now. It's not the American market of the 90s. It's a dead market. So I just think they should have deviated a little bit, and then they'd be able to move on to another day. So he's allowed that, to me, because he fought a tough 2024. You have two losses like that. I mean, get a layup right there, big fight, and then come back in 2026. But now where they're at is Fundora looked damn good. Fundora took the fight to him, had a much more aggressive game plan, worked behind the right hand, was just way too big and physical for Tszyu in this fight, fought a smart fight. And now where you're at is people are talking about retirement, but I think the plan going forward needs to be you have to go back to Australia. We were talking about this as far as Nikita Tszyu last year, but it's really Tim Tszyu. You have to be a domestic level action fighter if you want to keep your career going. And if 2 years, you build yourself back up, win 5 and climb the rankings slowly because you never know in boxing. Manny Pacquiao just came back at 46 years old and fought a very weak champion in Manny Barrios. You may have a very weak champion at middleweight, junior middleweight, get a belt, and maybe Tim Tszyu wins a belt 2-3 years from now. I wouldn't completely write it off, but you got to go back to the domestic level action fighter if you want to keep fighting in 2025, 2026, 2027. That's got to be the plan, man. Like, you got to go back to the drawing board if you want to stick around. Because the most troubling thing from last night, D-Style, was not that he didn't learn from his mistakes, because he is who he is. We talked about that all the time in boxing, right? Is once a guy gets hit, he goes right back to who he was. And that same thing's going to happen to Tim Tszyu. He's going to deviate and go right back to who he is. And the most troubling thing from last night, D-Style, is he was the one who gave. It wasn't his team pulling him. It was, and that's what I saw.
For sure. Shout out to Virtuoso. Happy 200th episode. Usyk is an all-time great. Look, man, he 100% is. There's no doubt about that. But look, there's a lot of truth to what Calix is saying, and I do think they wanted the belt back, but it is true that they had this kind of vision of turning Tim Tszyu into an American superstar, and it is an old model. It's not a model that works anymore, at least not like it used to. I don't want to get too involved in terms of, like, was it a mistake, not a mistake? Because at the end of the day, we can't complain about how Tank Davis type fighters move and basically fight a bunch of nobodies and never step up and play it safe for years. And we complain about it, but then get upset at fighters who make aggressive moves and maybe they pay the price for it. Because if you do that, then fighters are gonna notice this stuff and they're gonna try to take as many less risk as possible, right? That's just a reality. I'm not going to criticize Tim Tszyu because last year he took the fight with Fundora short notice. I ain't gonna do it. Especially if you look at it in hindsight now, it turns out he was doing better with a short notice than he did with a longer notice, right? And you could argue if it wasn't for the cut, he would have won that first fight with the short notice. So I've never really understood that argument, especially if you're a fan. Do you or do you not want fighters to step up and make moves? And do you not want fighters to give us the fights and try to fight the best? Do you not want fighters to be aggressive and all that? We can't complain about the way a Tank Davis moves. but then, go overboard with the way we criticize Tim Tszyu and how he moved, right?
Mhm.
The losses that Tim Tszyu suffered, he suffered them, bro. Like in boxing, you win, you lose. He lost. Those are the consequences of losing. That's it. What I don't want fighters to look at that and be like, well, that's why I'm never going to take a risk. I'm gonna do the Tank Davis thing. I'm going to take no risk until I'm 34 years old, and then that's it. Because I don't want people to be criticizing me for anything, right? That is just my concern. You know what I mean? Now, I will say again, and I think we both agreed on this, is that the road back should have been a longer road. And it just should have. And while I was confident he was going to beat Fundora, there was never really a doubt in my mind he could beat Fundora. Um, that clearly didn't happen, right? So, and you know, I saw an interview from Tim the other week, like, oh, I want to surpass my dad. You ain't gonna surpass your dad. The chances of that happening are gone. And the only way Tim Tszyu is gonna make it back to the big time, the only way is he's gonna have to pull off an upset that nobody thinks he could win. Right? That's the type of fight he's gonna have to win. That type of fight. Like we're like, holy shit, I can't believe you pulled that one off. Right? A fight where everyone's gonna bet against him. A fight where he's going to be a major underdog. Everyone is going to think he's a lamb to the slaughter. And then somehow he pulls it off and he wins. That's the only way Tim Tszyu will ever get back to where he was. Right. And the chances of that happening are almost slim to none. Somebody mentioned 160. Look, when I say he's done it at a high level, he's done. That's it. I think he's like, it's this is what it is. Right. Serafa. Go fight Serafa. That's your fight. That's it.
The good news for him is, and you hear me good?
Yes.
The good news for him is now he can pretty much get any fight he wants because everybody's going to want to fight him. The bad news is he can get any fight he wants because he probably loses all his top fights, right? That's the tough part about this. I don't know, man. I saw some weird behavior online last night too. People taking shots at him. And what I've learned the past couple of years, I knew this for about a decade now. When Manny Pacquiao was around doing things, people did not like a high-level Asian fighter coming to America and doing the things he was doing. People do not like foreign fighters being brash, aggressive, being sure of themselves. That's what I've learned of the American boxing market. And people definitely took the time out to go after Tim Tszyu last night. And look, man, it happens in the sport. It's a tough sport. It's part of it. You get paid well to deal with stuff like that. I don't feel bad for him. It is what it is. But Jamel Herring, right? It's like, you had tough losses, bro. And, the behavior outside of the ring hasn't been so great for you. I'm just saying, like, people are going out of their way to take shots. I just don't think people like non-American fighters being sure of themselves and targeting American fighters.
I'll tell you this: at least Jamal Herring's been in the ring.
He has, for sure.
Well, here's the thing: Turkey Al-Sheikh has never been in the ring. Turkey Al-Sheikh can't even shadow box into a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Turkey Al-Sheikh's over here. Oh, he's not good enough to be in Riyadh. But like, okay, you're mad because negotiations broke down, and that's what it is. Because like if Riyadh, like Anthony Joshua got destroyed in a Riyadh season, he was one of the dudes who were all over his nuts off. Like, who cares, bro? Like, look at what happened to Dubois. Dubois just got fucking starched, right? So this idea that like oh, he's not good. He could maybe be a sparring partner. And you know what makes it worse for all you people that egged it on like a bunch of idiots, right? Especially dudes in the media that won't speak out against it because you motherfuckers need his credentials to make a living, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I don't depend on the sport of boxing to make money. All right. So you guys over here acting like he stands on a square, but then he deleted the tweet. Okay. Yeah. He deleted it. Right. So here you were like, yeah, I don't care. He has a right. Look at what Tim said. Like, who gives a fuck with that? At least Tim gets in the fucking ring. All right.
I just personally, I reserve behavior like that as a fan for people who aren't aggressive with their career, don't want to give the fans what they want, don't take chances, don't take risks. That's who I reserve that behavior towards as a fan. Like if this stuff happened to Tank, it'd be like, yeah, man, like this was coming for you. You know, this is coming for guys who just play it safe, don't give the fans it are openly brash about not giving the fans what they want and robbing the bank. But dudes who go out there, look, D-Style down in New Orleans last night, then this is why UFC is thriving. They had a $9 million gate last night. It's despite what people say, it's thriving because you had a dude who had 10 losses fighting a dude who had 8 losses last night.
Yeah,
and he's in his hometown, and he gets his swan song, and everybody stays to the very end, even though he loses the fight. And that's what I'm saying is boxing just has this culture. It's like cigarette smoke that just sticks around. It's
but Calix, there's a double standard with fans of both sports. I see dudes that are always shitting on boxing, but they claim they're boxing fans, but they're always up in the UFC. They don't hold that same standard. They don't talk like you just talk right now. They'll be shitting on Tim Tszyu too. Right. But then in the same breath, oh, but the UFC, they don't care about losses. But then they turn around and they treat the boxers like shit when they lose.
Yeah.
Right. And my thing is this: what do you guys want as boxing fans? You want fighters to play it safe and never take a risk? Is that what you want? Right? Because, oh my God, they might lose. The loss is the consequence. I get it. Let the boxer deal with the loss. All right. Mm-hmm. But if they're giving you the fights, if they're going out there and they're giving you their heart and soul, right? I just think it's low the way a lot of people are acting towards Tim Tszyu right now. It's one thing to keep it real. Look, calling balls and strikes is one thing, right? We're keeping it real. He didn't look good. Like he got beat up in the fight, right? But what I'm not going to do is kick him while he's down. Okay, number one. And the way Turki Al-Sheikh acted, okay, it was pussy shit, right? That's what it was. Like who the fuck is he? All right, like give me a break. Oh, well, he's
what I would give him is he's the guy holding the purse at this point. And we have seen promoters behave like this. Let's be honest. They've all behaved like this towards fighters.
Well, yes and no, right? Like yes and no, right?
I get what you're saying.
You call Eddie a trust fund, baby. You're not wrong, right? But what the fuck is this dude? Look what funds is he? It's not his funds, right? Right, so like the guy is being handed money, and then he's acting like a jackass, like it's his money, right?
Right.
And but I'm not gonna kiss the dude's ass, right? Like a lot of the media, a lot of fans even are doing right now, hoping that somehow he gives them like you got a bunch of dudes out here kissing dude's ass because they think he's gonna handpick them the way he handpicked Showbiz and put them on the Ring Channel or something so they can make it. That's just not gonna be me. Okay.
I saw he's dumping Ariel Helwani, so I see a couple guys trying to swoop in there to get that airtime.
I mean, I'm just saying. Now, look, if you offer me 10 grand, hey, Turki's the best of all time.
I'll say whatever you want. We're here for you.
HCP in the ring, like you know what I mean. We'll do it, but
we'll say whatever you want. No, but just to call balls and strikes and try to circle around and wrap it all up for as far as Tim Tszyu is, we both agree as of right now, domestic level action fighter if you're going to keep going. And the biggest, I think you and I would both agree on this as far as the fight last night. I'm watching and I'm like, man, Fundora, there's so much to offer from Fundora, and another guy who's been chronically mismanaged and mispromoted, exciting fighter, Mexican-American fighter based out of LA. Like, good Lord, the things you could have done with that. A missed opportunity there. But as far as Tim Tszyu, the most troubling thing last night was not that the old habits came back, because that's just going to be there. He's going to be a sucker for the overhand right and stuff like that and counters. But he gave. Like, he went back to the ring and said, "Nah, you don't have to stop this. Like, I'm stopping it myself. I just can't do it. I can't do it." And that's the hallmark of a fighter who is a little shop worn and is questioning himself, right? He's not the warrior he was last year. And I think that's why people are on attack mode right now, is his team and himself were like, we're warriors. We'll go after anybody, anywhere. And then when you see that give, they kind of open themselves up for that. And that's why to call balls and strikes. And you and I like the aggressive plan. We like fighters fighting, but there's a balance too, right? And at times it did seem a bit reckless. And 2 examples, not going to Riyadh season and instead fighting here. And the reason I bring that up is you're fighting in venues that just aren't big venues anymore. And you're doing press conferences where they're not giving you the proper marketing, and you're not aligning yourself. If you want to storm the coast of America, you're not aligning yourself with people who can properly promote you here. I just feel like they were working this whole time off of a prehistoric boxing model that no longer exists, and they never deviated. If they want to be superstars, universal superstars, and you should have been looking at Riyadh, you should have stayed in Australia. There's nothing here. Like I've been trying to tell foreign fighters this, bro, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. The fans are miserable. And you're seeing that last night. The fans are miserable. The venues aren't what they used to be. I mean, this just isn't the market anymore, man. Go elsewhere where people are going to appreciate you and you can lose fights.
Here's what I want to say. Let me just say this, though. He was going to go to Riyadh. He had the injury, Kelly. The doctor didn't clear him, right? It's this what it is. And then he got a title shot. And he took it. And it's easy to say in hindsight that he shouldn't have taken it against Murtazalia, but 99% of people were picking him to beat Murtazalia. So everyone's trying to be the expert after the fact. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they shouldn't have taken that fight. Yet the same people that picked Tim Tszyu to win that fight. And on paper, it looked like a good move. It just didn't turn out that way. It just is what it is. I agree with the rematch. It was too soon, but still, like 60% of people were picking him to win this fight. Like, so on paper, it wasn't as horrible of a move as it turned out to be. Right. And I think people are judging it off of hindsight, which is fair. Right. But to your point about non-American fighters being aggressive with their wording and the way they act and expressing, having confidence for whatever reason, it's American fight fans don't like it when it's a non-American that does it. In fact, they'll call fighters arrogant even when they're not arrogant. Like when this guy, the dude with the hair like this, what was his name? This dude. Saying that Inoue is arrogant and he's so full of himself, and yet everyone else was interviewed Inoue. Like, it's like, I don't know, he's a pretty nice guy. I mean, like, I don't. Yeah. You hear Inoue's talk, he doesn't sound arrogant. Like, maybe it's because Inoue puts his hand behind his back once in a while and fights and showboats a little bit in the ring. God forbid. That makes him a very arrogant guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, like, obviously things didn't go Tim Tszyu's way. This is a brutal sport, and people are going to go at him. They're going to attack anyone who supported Tim Tszyu. They're going to go at them too. It's all collateral damage. And all I'm going to say right now to anyone who has an issue with me being a Tim Tszyu fan, you can go suck a dick. Okay, I don't give a shit. All right? D-Style doesn't care what you guys think. All right? It's as simple as that. With that said, Calix, so is Manny at age 46 really that good? Or is Mario Barrios just that bad?
It's a mixture. It was a mixture of both last night. It's matchups. It's based off of matchups, right? Ugas ended up being a bad matchup for Manny. Ugas did a really good job of leading in that fight and just not letting Manny get off, worked the jab well, kept the fight center of the ring, stayed off the ropes. And Barrios just can't fight like that. Barrios is one of the weaker champs in the sport. Him and Raleigh are some of the weakest champions in the sport. The welterweight division is just not what you would expect the welterweight division to be. And I would argue that the welterweight division for almost a decade now has been overrated, overvalued. And Manny Pacquiao and his team, in hindsight, I'm assuming he needs the money, right? I'm assuming that's why he's back. And in hindsight, I think they saw guys like Barrios and Raleigh winning titles at welterweight and saying, this is the perfect time to come back, bro. Like, do you want to come back? Because these are winnable fights. You can pick off a belt and be a champion at 46 years old and make history. Why not do it against guys like Barrios and Romero? So I think Pacquiao is going to be around for a couple more fights just because the division is so weak, just because the state of boxing at this time, despite what people are going to say, they're going to continue to deny it. It's a weak era of boxing. It just is, man. It is. So Raleigh's there. The rematch with Barrios is there. I'm assuming they're going to do the rematch with Barrios. After that one, Raleigh's still there for unification if he can keep a belt. So just think about this, how bad it is, D-Style, that a 46-year-old Pacquiao is in play for unification at welterweight. That's how bad the state of boxing is currently. So I thought Pacquiao fought well. He showed his spurts to where you saw some combination punching, but that was the big difference. And for the people asking, what's the big difference between, because my wife, I was watching the fight last night. She's like, Manny Pacquiao is fighting? And she's like, how old is he? And I was just explaining to her. And the big difference between Pacquiao then and Pacquiao now is just the lack of 5, 6, 7 combination punches, right? The throwing a straight left and then he's all the way on side of you. He doesn't have that anymore. So he's got to pick his spots. But all that was still good enough to beat Barrios, because I had Manny winning 115, 113. And I felt that was pretty generous to Barrios. I mean, there were close rounds that I gave to Barrios. I found it hard to get to a draw. I think you can get there. You definitely can't get to Barrios winning, though. I thought Pacquiao won the fight. I wouldn't say it's a robbery, though. There's definitely a pathway to a draw. I was very surprised when I heard the scorecards, though. I thought Pacquiao was going to get the benefit of doubt. I thought that the house would want Pacquiao to win because Barrios is expendable. He's not a draw. He's not a good fighter. He's a weak champion, so he's not very marketable. So I thought boxing was going to boxing, but instead boxing in another way, unfortunately. Like, it would have been nice to have Pacquiao. It would have been a good story for them. It would have been a good to spin off, because then you can go in multiple directions. You can go fight Raleigh. You can go fight Mayweather a second time.
So just for the record, Boots Ennis is WBA champion and Raleigh's the Reggie champion.
So Raleigh is the Reggie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, if Boots is moving up, though, then you know what they're going to do. They're going to upgrade.
Yeah, he's going to graduate. He's going to get emailed.
Yeah. Mario is a 2-pack of ASS. Send him to the desert, says Mr. T. Shout out to you, brother. Hope all is good.
And Barrios is not good, man. Like, he can't consistently.
I saw people. Look, I was seeing people saying things like, "Why doesn't Barrios step on it? He should do more." Like, I'm like, no, that's who he is, guys. That's how he fights.
He can't do it.
Like that's him. If he did let his hands go, man, he would have caught him even more. Like, that's just,
he got a draw in his last fight against not good competition, man. Like, he's just barely holding on to that belt. And he's another guy. I mentioned this earlier, and I'll elaborate a little bit. He's another guy that benefited from the Tank Davis theorem. He fought a decent fight against Tank and then parlayed that into some easier fights. And then they got creative with the matchmaking and got him to this point. But he definitely benefited that, to where if he could win 4 rounds against Tank, look how well he did. And Tank is the greatest fighter we've ever seen. So he's got to be a great fighter. He just benefited from that, and it got him to this point. But what we're finding out is that resume continues to age like spoiled milk. These guys just aren't that good. They're not, man. Like, they're not that good. And it's sad to say, I like Barrios as a person, by the way. He seems like a very nice guy. He does. He's just not a good fighter.
Well, man, you just like give him a backhand compliment. You know what I mean? Like, but
He's a nice guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. He's just a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure he is a nice guy for sure. But Look, I wouldn't say he's not a good. I mean, look, is he great? No. Is he like elite? Probably not. But he's
No, he's not.
okay.
He's okay. He's mid.
He's all right. Like, you know what I mean? There's 2,000 welterweights in the world. He's top 15. You know what I mean?
15
not
years
horrible.
ago, this guy. 15 years ago, I don't think he's a top 20 welterweight.
No, like obviously we have to grade him at a curb, I guess. You know, considering the era at the moment. He's the weak league champion. And as I watch this fight, I said to myself, of course, Mario Barrios is the one that's going to be struggling with a 46-year-old Pacquiao. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course. Like, it's as I'm watching this. And I always had a funny feeling, Alex. Like, my brain kept telling me, no, there's no way Manny could come back and win this fight. Like, you know what I mean? And then, but another part of me was, but this is Mario Barrios. Like, you know what I mean? But part of me was like, that part of me was there. And
Pacquiao faded late. He faded late. He did. The age showed in 10, 11, 12. It showed. He gave you a few flashes, and that's good enough to beat Barrios because I thought he was good enough to win. I had a 115, 113, and that's
I
what
thought he won the fight.
I had him up. I had Pacquiao up 7 to yes, whatever it was, 7-2, something like that. And Barrios ends up winning those championship rounds. So I just thought I thought Pacquiao did enough. I thought he did enough.
Oh, I love the debate going on in the chat right now. Because somebody said he called himself the Aztec warrior, but he doesn't speak Spanish. And somebody said, well, Spanish and English are European. That shit doesn't matter. I like the response. Then he should be speaking native Aztec tongue then, right? Which he doesn't speak either. But he's a nice guy that speaks okay English and no Spanish, right? It was okay at fighting.
Chauncey was texting me before the fight, and he was mad that this guy's calling himself the Aztec warrior. I was like, Chauncey, just calm down, bro. He's like, this guy speaks no Spanish. He's like he's like a suburban Hispanic American. I was like, bro, I don't care. I don't care about any of that. He seems like a nice guy. He's just not a good fighter.
I guess he's over here acting like he's a Jaguar Knight, but he's not, bro. Like, that's my feel. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't care how guys market themselves as long as they fight.
Like, I know he's full of shit.
The guy's just not a good fighter, man. I don't know. It was kind of sad to watch on the Barrios side.
I'm not saying
but on the Pacquiao side, I'm gonna be honest. It was fun. Like, it was for me. It was fun watching.
I don't want to lose this point. I'm not saying the guy's not an Aztec warrior. You know what I mean? But he wasn't like one of the elites. Like, he wasn't like a Jaguar Knight or an Eagle warrior. Like, he wasn't like, you know what I mean? He's kind of like the dudes that like gave the arrows to the warriors. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like
he was a role player. He's a role player.
He was a role player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what Mario Barrios was. Like,
he like sharpened the blade. Warrior. Yeah, that's what he did.
So
he like cleaned up the battlefield after is what he did.
I'll tell you what. He's a hit with the ladies too. I mean, he hooked up with Figueroa and knocked up Figueroa's sister. So, I mean,
the dude's doing well for himself.
Yeah, he's doing well for himself.
Hate on him all you want. He's doing well for himself.
100%. But in all seriousness, Manny Pacquiao, I don't care if it's Mario Barrios. I don't care if the welterweight division is weak right now. It is, but it's weak. I don't care, Calix. I don't care that I just, like, at the end of the day, what Manny Pacquiao did was amazing. All right. And flashes of his old self was good enough to beat Barrios, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it was a robbery. They could have fucking given him the win. Like Jesus fucking Christ. Like, really, you're gonna go to like really? So you're telling me boxing fans believe in all these rules that you gotta take it from the champion. If you fight in a hometown, you're down 3 rounds to nothing. Well, how about you fight an old, washed up dude, right? You should be down 5 rounds, okay? At the end of the day. Like this is crazy. But I thought Manny should have won, bro. When I say they
That's
robbed him
how I
from him,
felt. That's how I felt after the fight. It was like it was a weird feeling. Like this isn't a robbery. It's like the dude at 46 puts on his performance, and of all times for boxing to just do fair scorecards, it's like this is the one you pick. Like you could have just filled out 117, 111, all three of you, and just given it to Pat. It was weird.
but I do agree that if Manny just had a little more left and would have pulled off one of those last 2 rounds, he would have won. So
Yeah.
it just. And here's a reality, man. He's so old that this could have been his last hurrah. This could have been everything he had left. He probably put in this fight. So don't be surprised. Like Barrios will just destroy him in a rematch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if Mario Barrios once again. Of course, Mario Barrios might just go life and death with a 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Like, I mean, it is what it is.
It's a nice guy, though. Nice guy.
But yeah, that's our point, Talk Tech. Like this is when they decide to be fair. They're doing fair and honest scoring now. Like, what are we doing? Right? I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I was a judge, I would have given like 8-4 Pacquiao. Easy.
Me too. Me too.
And you can make an argument for it. It's one thing. Like I'm not saying rob the guy outright. Like no. Like if you can make an argument that he won and you didn't give it to him. What?
I know.
I don't know, man. Sometimes the mob needs to make some visits, bro. Like I mean, I'm just
I
saying.
was
like,
shocked. I was shocked that Barrios got that draw. I was shocked.
Not
I thought for
surprised.
sure. I
One
thought
of
for
the
sure
judges
the
here
one.
come.
I thought for sure the house wanted Pacquiao.
Well, let's move on to the performance of the night, in my opinion.
Usyk.
Usyk. Oh my God. Let me just say this. I picked Usyk to win, and I was confident that he was going to win. And I felt he was going to stop Dubois late. But to surpass even my expectations, well, my expectations were pretty high. Like I had him like winning pretty easily. He won easier than I thought he was going to win. Like he made Dubois look like Dubois doesn't even belong in the ring with him. I mean, it was crazy. And you know what? Yeah, I think I saw Melaнаji bring up this point. I think the wet ring and Usyk not being able to use his feet as well in that first fight in Poland did play a major role. I think that made the fight more difficult for the mover and Usyk. Um, he just dominated the ball. I mean, this is crazy, bro. He destroyed him. And you know what? It was very satisfying to watch because I went from being the biggest Dubois fan, like when he beat Miller, like I loved it. I loved the corny trash talk and big baby, every baby has a daddy, and I'll be your daddy, like whatever. Like okay, like and then he beats Hergovich. He beats Anthony Joshua. I'm like, man, this guy, and then he just turned into a dick, bro. Like you know what I mean? He just turned into a dick. He's interrupting the post-fight celebration of Usyk after he wins after he beats Fury, and then he's manufacturing these stories of like I guess to sell that Usyk was a bad person. Like yeah, after my fight, he came up to me and talked to me and tried to like talk to me like I'm a little kid, like he just sunned me or some shit like that. Like I don't know, man, it was just a bit much for me and. Dubois needed to be humbled. He needed to be humbled, and I'm glad he got humbled. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm. No, Dubois is a good fighter. He parlayed the controversy in 3, I think, overvalued wins into this rematch. I didn't need the rematch. I already saw who the better fighter was in the first fight. You already know how I feel about the heavyweight division. I think it's a mid division. I think it's been a weak era of heavyweight boxing for a couple of decades now. It's not what it used to be. You already know what rubbed me wrong about the heavyweight division was people saying just because these guys are bigger, much bigger than previous eras, that they would have destroyed guys like the guy behind me or the Sonny Listons of the world. And, you know, Joe Lewis's, Joe Frazier's, Rocky Marciano's, any of these guys would have been just food for these heavyweights now because these guys are so big and they're so athletic. But really, what you have is a bunch of low skilled, in my opinion, robotic fighters. And that's fine because these guys are at least fighting each other. The past couple of years, that's the one good thing about Riyadh season is they're pitting the top guys against each other. It's been a fun division in that way. And that's good enough for me. It just rubs me the wrong way when they start to put these heavyweights into conversations that they don't belong in. And the beauty of Usyk, the value of Usyk to me is he's completely destroyed that narrative because he's a cruiserweight coming up. He's a smaller heavyweight, and he's completely just, these guys they cannot stay with him. They cannot stay with him. He's too fast. He's too quick. He's too technical, too athletic, and he's completely just running through the heavyweight division. And there's really nothing else out there for him. He can retire now on top, and he's completely owned the heavyweight division. I'm more impressed by his cruiserweight run myself, but it is impressive to see him run through. It's impressive, the heavyweight division, the way he's done.
I don't know about all that, Alex, but yeah.
No, I do. I think the cruiserweight division that he run through is undervalued. The heavyweight division that he's run through is overvalued. I just don't think these guys are great. These style, I think they're good. I think Dubois is.
Let me put it this way.
I think Dubois is an average fighter. I mean, he's
Mario. Well, hold on. I think you're right, but wrong at the same time. It is true that maybe the cruiserweight division was undervalued and the heavyweight division is overvalued. However, I mean, if we line up those cruiserweights that he fought against the heavyweights that he fought, the heavyweights that he fought would have fucked up those cruiserweights. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Gassiev ain't gonna go in there and fuck with Anthony Joshua and Fury, and Barrios isn't gonna be messing with a Fury either. Is what I'm saying. Like I think what he did at heavyweight was more impressive in my opinion. Alex freeze. Alex froze, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what happened.
Agree to disagree on that, but
you froze. You froze like for the last minute or so.
Okay, you got me now.
Yes. What was your response?
We didn't hear internet's not gonna work. No, I would agree to disagree on that, but that's neither here nor there.
So I think Gassiev could beat Usyk? I'm sorry, Anthony Joshua in a fight?
Pound for pound. If we're talking pound for pound, I think those fighters are better. I understand your point. It's impressive to go up to heavyweight, assume all that weight, and do it. I get that. I get that point. And that's what brings him into this pound for pound conversation to where, I mean, it's hard to argue him again, not being pound for pound number one at this point. It is really impressive the way he's doing this stuff. I mean, he sat on his punches. He left no doubt yesterday. And he's doing that against a bigger man, despite what we think of him. And he's assuming a lot of risk doing the things he's doing. So, and he hasn't lost. And on top of that, D-style, he's doing it on away turf constantly. Away turf constantly. He's doing it on the road. He's a road warrior. So at this point, you have multiple guys. I think the three guys that are making strong cases for pound number one is Usyk, Bivol, Inoue. You made the argument for Bivol just because you don't put heavyweights in your pound for pound list. There's a good argument for Bivol. There's a good argument for Inoue. I just think at this point it's hard to argue against Usyk at the top, but you can make an argument for all three of those guys. Usyk's just special, man. He's a special fighter. 100%. A joy to watch.
And by the way, and this is just me. Look, boxing fans will do whatever they want, okay? But just enjoy the guy for what he is. Like, do we need to start talking about how he could destroy Muhammad Ali, like the moment he beats Dubois, and because all you're gonna do, like, all you're doing at that point is you're opening a Pandora's box for people to start like talking about how weak the heavyweight division is, and that's the only reason Usyk looks so good. And I don't know. I just, at the end of the day,
despite me thinking that, it's the same thing I say about Bud is, he's done great things, great achievements. His resume leaves a lot to be desired as far as names. But despite all that, Usyk and Bud translate to any era, in my opinion. Usyk, he does, man. He translates to any era in the heavyweight division. He
He's
just
a
does.
special fighter.
He's special. He's all time great. He's an all time great.
Mario says Calix is under intense police interrogation right now. Okay, but um, Usyk. Look, let me say this: Usyk he is a special fighter. He is a great fighter. And I find it funny how with certain people, like Timothy Bradley, for example, um, they just move the goalposts entirely. Like remember when Tim was saying that Fury's the greatest of all time, nobody can hang with him, and
Yeah,
the moment Usyk beats him, all of a sudden he's questioning the greatness of Usyk,
yeah,
right? This is why everyone needs to calm down. Like you need to calm down when you start talking about the best of all time, and then let their career finish, and then let some time pass, and then you could start bringing that stuff up, right? Because a lot of the times it doesn't age well. Like Timothy Bradley's take that Fury is the greatest of all time, right?
yeah.
It just didn't age well, and now he looks ridiculous questioning Usyk as an all-time great, right?
Yep.
So just right now, just all what Usyk is the king of his era, right? And that's it. That's what he is. People, it's just crazy how they kept arguing about is it Joshua? Is it Wilder? Is it Fury? And this guy comes around and is like, it's none of them. It's me.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. You may not always get what you want, but you always get what you need. All right. Usyk is that dude. He's him. Right. He's the Thor. He's the chosen one of the division. Right.
Yep.
And that's it. And I'm going to tell you right now, most pointless rematch of all time. This Dubois rematch, right? That somebody said in the chat, it felt manufactured. It was manufactured. But the way they were grasping at straws about the low blow, is it a low blow, not a low blow? That's how they were selling it. Like oh, Dubois was robbed of a knockout win, and acting as if we didn't watch the rest of the fight, where he just got picked apart, right? And look at what happened this time. But I will say, shout out to England. Cal, did you see how they sang not one, but two national anthems in honor of Usyk before the fight?
Mm.
The Ukrainian national anthem, and then God Bless the King, right? In honor of the King of England, Alexander Usyk.
He's the baddest. He's the baddest man on the planet, and it's undisputed. And that's what I tell people all the time who get in their feelings. If you put like Inouye or Bivol or somebody, for pounds almost beneath him, right? He's the baddest man on the planet. He's the baddest man on the planet.
Well, nobody could put on a pair of boxing gloves and beat Usyk and Marcus Queensberry. Nobody.
Nope. Not a person on the planet. Not a single person on the planet.
No one too small, too big, too fat, too in shape, too whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Nobody. Right.
And he's the guy.
I think Calix thinks he could take him. Like Calix has a shot, but
right, I could. But you just said you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. Remember the conversation we were having after Tyson Fury embarrassed boxing in that crossover fight?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about, man, this is the baddest man on the planet title that you're just embarrassing with this performance. And then people thought it was Anthony Joshua righting that wrong by coming in and winning against that guy and knocking him out in the first round. But it really what it is Usyk's the guy who righted that wrong. He's the baddest man on the planet that we needed in the sport. He looks the part. Ambassador.
He plays the part.
He plays the part. He takes on everybody no matter where. And on top of that, he's fun to watch. And because he's smaller, rope in there, he's beating up on bigger guys. It's just a beauty to watch this guy. He's what boxing needed right now.
He's what boxing needed, and what I'll tell you right now, I didn't really think we would, after the Klitschko's kind of fell out, I honestly never thought we would see a heavyweight this good again, if I'm honest with you, right? I just didn't. And then Usyk comes around, and The division I really pay attention to now, because you kind of know they're eventually going to come to heavyweight, is cruiserweight, right? That's the heavyweight, because they're kind of like heavyweights with skill, just smaller, right? And the cruiserweights are really the old school heavyweights incarnate today, really, right? So I look at them. I look at an Opetaya. I look at those guys on the come up, and I kind of see them as okay, because that's where it feels like we're going to get the next like skillful heavyweights from, right? That now whether or not they could make up for the size difference, I don't know, but Usyk obviously could. Alexander Wilson, Calix, why are those summer AAU tournaments charging parents $750 to just attend? What is going on with youth basketball? It looks like a circus. But Calix cut off again. Hello? Oh shit, he froze. Or am I frozen?
It's me. It's on my side.
Oh, okay.
It's on my side. I could do a whole different show on that. Believe me, it bothers everybody. But to keep it boxing, man, before I freeze again, Usyk special. And I also want to say this, D-Style, because we didn't get to talk about Bam and more on that for another show, I think. But Bam is special too. It's not just who it's not. This dude, if you watch him, it's how he's doing it, how he looks. And I know the conversations get to Bam versus Junto versus Inoue, and all of them are simultaneously ducking each other. I'm just telling you, there's a collision course at some point in the next year or two. I think it's undeniable. I think these guys are going to continue to win their fights, and somebody's going to collide with somebody else, and then the other guy will, and it's going to be some sort of round robin, because these three guys are special. And especially, I don't know how much longer Inoue has in him. I'm starting to see a little slippage, but Junto and Bam are in their prime. And boy, when them two get together, good Lord. Good Lord.
Oh, man.
Good night. I think they're both D-Style right now. I'm typing up the pound for pound list right now, the new one. I think they're both top 5 pound for pound right now.
Look, Bam Rodriguez, didn't really touch much on it because it was kind of a gimme opponent to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The real fight is against Martinez later in the year. That's the one I'm looking forward to. And Martinez is a good fighter, but I think Bam's gonna run circles around him. So we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, Bam Rodriguez did his thing for sure. Shout out to Usyk, man. Great fighter. And if I'm honest, the fight I want, Cal, I wanted to fight Parker. I actually think Parker is a fighter that could give him a good fight. Parker has good hand speed. He's on a roll himself, but I'll still pick Usyk to win. Probably win in convincing fashion, but I do think Parker is his best matchup right now out of everybody. I do not want to see a third fight with Tyson Fury. It's a waste of time. And I just don't. And Fury's not in a place to be calling the shots. I don't know who thinks why. And then like Turkey, your dude, like enables it, like you know what I mean, like makes him feel like he could call the shots. You just got your ass whooped twice in a row, bro. You don't call the shots, right? Like as simple as that. You don't call the shots, brother.
Yeah, but guess what?
Well,
you know how.
Usyk, real quick, Alec, Usyk is 8 of his last 9 fights beat up dudes from the UK. His last 7 fights beat up dudes in the UK. We're done. No more UK fight. You guys don't keep getting a crack at Usyk, right? They're gonna keep. They want trilogies against Usyk. They want best out of 7 against Usyk. Eventually, they'll get a win when Usyk's 50-0 against them. They're finally gonna get a win and be like, "Yeah, Usyk owns Ukraine." Woo! Like, okay, like bro, like you're down, right? He's run up the score on y'all. That's it, right? Give the dude from New Zealand a shot, bro. That's all I'm saying, right? Last word, Carlos. We'll wrap it up.
Usyk special, Bam special. Tim Tszyu, domestic level action fighter at this point. You can go back there, do your thing over there if you're going to continue to fight, make some money over there for a couple of years. And if something shakes, you never know, man. Opportunities arise that you never thought. We never would have thought Barrios would have a belt, and Manny Pacquiao would be back. And that would be my last point is Manny Pacquiao showed some flashes. I thought he should have won the fight, and did it in an opportunistic fashion against a not so strong champion. And unfortunately, I don't think boxing got it right last night. I think Manny Pacquiao should be the champion right now, and Matteo Barrios should be sort of on his way, stage left. But it is what it is. Now they can sell a rematch, and he'll be back.
And as good as Usyk looked and Fundora looked, it's definitely the week of Isaac Cruz. But anyway, well,
I knew it.
all right. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know people. Oh, did you talk about Fundora? Yes, earlier in the show. Did you talk about Manny Pacquiao? Yes, earlier in the show. Did you talk
Fundora
about
looked
Isaac
good.
Cruz? Of course. Right.
Fundora looked good.
So go back, all that good stuff. This is a D style for Calix. We're out of here, guys. Peace.
11, 10, 9, 8, 7,